Alright guys, coffee's warm, books are out and selected for another episode of Beyond the Covers. Here we go. Going to be going through another kind of eclectic mix. I'm going to try to keep them, kind of varied here with the assortment that I pick for these videos, just so it's not always Silver Age Marvel or all modern books, try to switch up the genres. So we got Captain Atom 53, which is just a fun, quick read. Attack of the Zombie Dolphins. I saw that on the cover and I just had to pick it up from the thrift store. And I won't spend too much time on that. It's got Aquaman in it. It's a fun one. Then we'll go to Comet Man #1. Again, not too much time on that one. It's got a kind of nifty little origin story, but a lot of problems with this that I'll talk about when we go into it. And then we got to have one classic. I just can't resist, man. So many that I want to share, so every time it's hard for me not to pick at least one classic. So we'll go through Daredevil #5, which is a Wally Wood masterpiece, artistically speaking. Here we go. Beyond the Covers. Alright, so here we go with Little Captain Atom. This one obviously has some Aquaman in it, and it's the Attack of the Zombie Dolphins. It's got a bunch of creators in it that are just, for me, kind of no-name creators. We'll just see here real quick. Mike Adams doing the pencils. Dan Raspler doing the story. Whatever. It's just kind of fun, man. It's one of these modern books. Let's see, it's from the late 80s or early 90s. Which? Oh, come on. Where are you? 1990, it says on the other page. So there you go, right at the start of a lot of the garbage in the comic world. But, if you take this with a grain of salt, look at this freaking dolphin, dude, with some weird contraption strapped to its head. It looks like a crazy, angry zombie dolphin. If you take this kind of comic in the right way, it can be fun, okay? I mean, this is why the 90s get the bad rap that they have, but there's also some good art in here. Admit it. Look at that. That's a decent whale. Kind of looks like there's splooge all over this front end, but there's some cool stuff, and the story is just absolutely ridiculous. This Captain Atom story is just insane. It's about, I don't remember all the details, but it's basically about some zombie dolphins. You can see here this dolphin gets its tail bit off by the whale, but it stays alive without its tail. And then it winds up being found by humans. This tailless dolphin is still alive, and they're like, how the hell is this thing still alive? Oh my god, it's because it's a zombie dolphin! It's a cool Turtles ad, by the way. I love these 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ads that you find in these 90s books. A little D&D for the true dork inside you. But it's just a fun, quick read. Look at that. There they are. They're trying to figure out what's going on with the zombie dolphin. Captain Atom decides he's got something to do about it. I'm going to start flipping through this relatively quick. This is the best panel, if you ask me, right here in the whole book. When they first introduce Aquaman. The zombie dolphin swimming through the ocean. And they haven't revealed why he's a zombie dolphin yet. But Aquaman can tell that there's something wrong. And he feels the dolphin's pain, and he reaches out to help the dolphin. Just kind of cool, Just like one of those underwater god type panels. He's at one with his surroundings. It's one of the coolest parts about Aquaman, kind of like Submariner. They do a better job of making Aquaman more, I don't know how to put it, but more aqua-like, more comfortable in the water than Submariner. I always thought Submariner was kind of a strange force amphibian with the winged feet, and him spending almost as much time out of the water as in the water. I kind of prefer the look and just overall feel of Aquaman compared to Submariner, but that's just me. Kind of rare for me to choose DC over Marvel like that, but that's one case where I have to admit that Golden Age Submariner is a different story, but for Silver Age and later, yeah, I'd have to say. Here we got our whale again. Taking a big chomp out of something. And why is that? Maybe it's a zombie whale. You gotta read to find on. Read on to find out. Well, it didn't come out quite right, did it, guys? You gotta read on to find out. You see Captain Adams try to save the day here. Along with Aquaman, they team up. And, yeah, it's just kind of stupid story, to be honest, but they've got some environmental commentary in here, which I think is kind of interesting for the 90s, It's basically got a message of save the environment. It's the moral of this type of comic. It's a comic that's laid out, it's one of those stories that's laid out almost like a fable, if you know what I mean. So it can only go so far, really, as far as creative integrity, but it's fun. A fun, quick, stupid read with some zombie dolphins. And there's Aquaman swimming with the happy dolphins after they free them. They're no longer zombie dolphins. And then they reveal in the very end, I forgot about this, that at one point in time, dolphins did rule the earth, and that they just haven't been able to reclaim their throne yet. You see that dolphin statue, underwater dolphin statue? It's supposed to indicate that they at one time were sophisticated enough to have an underwater civilization. Pretty silly stuff, but what the hell, you know? Good enough artwork in some panels, and silly enough story to keep you entertained for 20 pages. And that's that. It's also in really nice shape, so that's why I picked it up. Captain Atom 53. Bada bing, bada boom. On to the next guy. Alright, now we're going to start getting better and better here with Comet Man, and then we'll go to Daredevil number 5 for the last, and do the crescendo bit again. Just want to show you real quick, I'm only going to go into Comet Man number 1, and I'm going to do it pretty quickly again. But I picked up these Comet Mans because, again, they were from the thrift store haul, and they were in immaculate condition. But I really just liked the colors on the covers. Here's number 3. You know, the art is kind of, I don't know about the art, man, but there's something just simple to me about the way the colors, the orange and the blue there. Really like it, man. And this one, too, the same, with the Fantastic Four playing into this plot on number 5. I really like that green and the gray, the two-tone. See what they're doing here with the big tones? You notice what's happening here? The bright shifting into the... I like this, man. I like that a lot. The penciling is meh, but the colors sound silly, but I really like those colors, man. They evoke a they're soothing to me. It's calming for me to look at these comics. It literally calms me down. Oops, and I just did what I said I would never do. I used the word literally when it was unnecessary. I hate it when people do that. I literally hate it when people do that. Yeah, exactly, that kind of shit. Okay, moving on to the actual comics instead of just rambling. Yes, okay, here we go. Okay, now Comet Man number 1. Again, a story that I think is kind of lackluster. Better than what we just went through with Captain Atom, but not much. It's again getting into the the late 80s, early 90s issues of comics. Common problems with this one, Story is what's the right word for it? Disjointed. It's not very fluid. It reminds me of a think tank got together about what should we do with the origin story of this character Comet Man, and it's almost as if they took everybody's ideas and just shoved them all into one story and somehow made them all fit instead of just selecting the best idea and trying to flesh that out. It seems very superficial. It's about a guy who goes into space, an astronaut, chasing Halley's Comet, and this is the one part of it that I liked about the origin story. Sorry, this is out of focus here. I'm trying to get this in focus. In the beginning here, they show you that his wife, the astronaut's wife, back at home, for one thing, has a nice rack. But also gets hit on by her superior, who's supposed to be her husband's friend. Yeah, pat, pat, pat. So kind of a heavy issue there for the first few pages of a children's comic is what struck me there, some sexual harassment. But that was a big issue, think about it, in the 90s. So, again, with them trying to make these comics more like fables in the 90s, what they're doing with a lot of these. Trying to have messages for the kids, right? Sexual harassment is bad. They're putting that right into the origin story of this character. And it does play a big part, actually, the fact that that guy is hitting on his wife. And the coolest part of this is just an ad, but look at this. This is really cool. It's an ad for laser tag, man. This is when laser tag was heating up. I don't know. To me, that brings me back to my childhood, dude. I remember when that stuff was heating up. Anyways, here's back to the plot. He's chasing Halley's Comet. And the coolest part is he ends up getting sucked into Halley's Comet, which is not what's supposed to happen, into the tail end of it. You can see that's what's happening to him here. He's saying, holy. And all of a sudden, cut scene. There's a huge explosion. Cool panel. Decent looking artwork on the explosion. Nothing to write home about, but good enough. His son is shocked and terrified, so is his wife. The one who is sexually harassing his wife is obviously a little bit happy, and all of a sudden this other guy, who's that? Who's that? You're supposed to be thinking at least. Who be that? This is the part that I like. This is just kind of hokey. But, you gotta grab your bits and pieces from these 90s and 80s comics that have mostly bad stuff. Grab the pieces that you like and just focus on those. That's what I try to do. And I like this little bit, these little few pages right here where they introduce the alien. All of a sudden he reveals that it was not Halley's Comet, or it was Halley's Comet that he was observing, that the astronaut was observing in space. But he reveals that Halley's Comet is actually not a comet. Rather, Halley's Comet is this alien's spacecraft. And every 77 years, which is exactly how long it takes between cycles when Halley's Comet passes, the spacecraft comes to observe Earth. And it has been mistaken as a comet by humans since the dawn of time. When in fact it is just this alien who's from a very superior race, of course. And in order to save the main character here, the astronaut, the alien needed to use his superpower, not his superpowers, but his alien race's technology to save him, which involved reconstituting his particles because he was vaporized in the explosion. But he wasn't able to constitute him back to normal completely, of course. This is almost like an FF origin story. And what happened was some rays that were from the technology of the alien race that he exposed him to bring him back to life. Brought him back to life more or less in his human form, but in his perfected genetic human form. So he becomes Comet Man with this outfit that the alien gives him. It's kind of hokey looking outfit with a comet streak across it. And he has basically all of the powers that one would assume the perfect genetic version of a human could have. He can fly, he has telepathy, super strength, super speed, super smart, all this stuff. And they don't really delve into the extent of his powers in this first issue, other than just to let you know that the scientists are testing him for his powers once he comes back from space. He tells them about his alien encounter, but they don't completely believe him, but they do notice that he does have some incredible powers. And that's kind of where they leave it off with Comet Man #1. And I'm not going to say all too much more about that, other than there's a whole bunch of drama that happens with his family. His wife and kid think he's dead. The boss basically keeps it a secret from them that he's actually alive. And yeah, they leave you off here in the very end, not knowing what's going to happen to Comet Man. Alright guys, that was that. On to the finale, which will be Daredevil #5. At this point, this is the first issue where Wally Wood comes on as an artist, and they are not shy to let you know about it. What I'm going to do, guys, is not talk very much at all. Just a couple points to let you know what's happening with the plot, but mostly let you just read here and use your eyes to see the art, because it's one of those things where the story tells itself. So here, I'll give you 15 seconds to read this. So, there you have it. They're letting you know Wally Wood is here to stay. And, right in his first issue, he does a redesign on the Daredevil costume. He adds that red to the yellow costume. And as we all know, in a couple issues from now, he's going to make that costume all red. And that yellow will disappear entirely. The villain in this one is really funny, man. Oh, God. El Toro! The villain's name here is the Masked Matador, who has a hilarious ability, but just look at the art here, guys. Look at the detail. And you'll start to notice the detail in every panel that made Wally Wood a favorite among collectors, especially because of his attention to detail. Hard to get it in focus there. That's it's a little better, a little further out. But I'm going to stop talking as much and let you just see what's happening here. His ability is that he uses his cape to attract his enemies and lure them in the wrong direction, just as he would a bull. And his abilities are no greater than that. He's very agile, but that's it. And they make a whole crazy Silver Age story out of just that, guys. And it works. And it's entertaining as hell. And the artwork is great. Look at that. Look at what he's doing with the costume party crowd in the background. He's just having so much fun being able to draw each one individually. I can't explain to you how much I love what he did here with the other people at the party and the other people at the costume party. That's what's happening here, in case you're wondering why there's so many different types of characters. He must have had so much fun, Hollywood that is. He must have had so much fun drawing all these characters. Look at that, you can tell he spent time on each one. None of the people in these panels were an afterthought, or were skipped over. Each one is drawn with love. Try to speed up the pace here. Pretty glorious stuff here. Each panel is just, I don't know how to describe it without sounding kind of corny, but to me, each panel is just lush. Like a garden type lush with eye candy. You know, there's just so much detail hidden and tucked away in little corners and crevices of every panel if you're really looking for it. And, the quality is, I mean, you know, going from the 90s stuff that we were just looking at to this makes you really appreciate the passion. You know, I've been asking around why a lot of people think that, you know, a lot of artists who carried on after the Silver Age kind of declined, at least in terms of popular opinion, in their abilities, or at least in their product, in their artwork. And a lot of people seem, a lot of the old timers at least, if you don't mind me calling you that, guys, you know, I respect the hell out of you. That's why I respect your opinion more than anybody. But a lot of you guys seem to think that a lot of it was the passion that declined for these guys, not their ability necessarily. You know, just they lost passion for what they were doing, and I'm sure that had a lot to do with the industry itself, not just the comics they were producing. But you know, this obviously is a period in the Silver Age when everything, the confluence of factors is stupendous, amazing. Everything's coming together for the best. If you're a comic book lover, you're getting kick-ass pin-ups like this. Yowza, yowza. And, you know, this is why the Silver Age Marvel is my favorite. And many others people's favorites. There's good reasons for it. And this comic is a good example of that. So, there it is, guys. Another episode of Beyond the Covers. I was pretty quiet there at the end of this one, but I hope you appreciate just looking instead of me talking all the time. I think that was a good move on this one. And, yeah, later on.